I would expect every Muslim, every human being to voluntarily intervene and stop any kind of immoral behavior by anybody who he ever witnesses. So this is the fight of good and evil. People who do not or who are not party to the good are way more evil than the obvious and apparent evil. So spectators are the reason why evil exists. The companions asked the Prophet ﷺ, and they said it in these very words. They said, when we are in your presence, O Prophet ﷺ, we are on the top of our iman. And when we are not in your presence, it seems as if we have committed kufr. We're in the state of kufr. It is that much of a difference. The Prophet ﷺ said, so if you commit the same sin again and again, and that's a different problem, that's a psychological issue. But if you commit different sins and you different mistakes, and then you repent and then you have the deeper sense of remorse, and then you're climbing up the ladder, coming back to your part level, that is that climb that is raising you higher than the angel. Tawbah only works when you are so disappointed with yourself, so ashamed that you can't even pick your head up in front of the mirror. Before you do anything, wake up. Whenever you wake up, just close your eyes. Imagine the day of judgment. Imagine things going on. Every single day that you can do this, within 3 months or 4 months, within that, you're going to get those kind of details and those kind of pixels in that picture in your vision that you'll be amazed as to how clear this thing becomes. This guy was caught committing adultery, and he went to Umar al-Khattab, obviously was sentenced, and he said, "Oh, Amirul Mu'mineen, oh, Umar al-Khattab, please forgive me. For Allah only always forgives the first time. Give me a second chance. It's the first time I committed this." And Umar al-Khattab says, "If I sleep sound, I sleep a criminal. I sleep the sleep of a criminal. If my pillow is not wet every night from the faults that I've committed, the injustice, because of my casual behavior towards my family, friends in the world, because of the lack of that vigor that I feel about the purpose that I was sent on this planet, if I'm not crying every night and I'm sleeping sound, then I sleep the sleep of a criminal." Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Walaikum
Walaikum
assalam.
assalam.
So who do we have here, and what brings you to this neck of the woods? Where are you guys, by the way? Are we all in England?
I'm in England. I'm in Manchester. My name is Hassan Sadiq, and I'm 19.
Hassan,
Sadiq.
19. Hassan
Yeah.
Sadiq. Yes, sir. Who do we have?
And
Who else do we have?
my name
Sorry.
is Ashad Hussain. I'm from England, Dewsbury, but I'm 18 years old.
Dewsbury. We wouldn't really know where that is. Okay. England. Okay. Yes. Who else? Ashad.
I'm Raima, and I'm from Belgium, and I'm 19.
Belgium.
Yeah.
Okay. Raima. Raima, Belgium. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Anabia Iqbal. I'm 16 years old and I'm from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Okay, Anabia. So let's begin proceeding. We are together for who was forced to be here?
I was not.
Okay. So what were you thinking when you was joining this session, this meeting? What was your thought process?
My thought process was that I just wanted to talk with you. I have some questions, very interesting ones actually, that I want some answers for.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Nice. Gee, Ashad, why are you here?
I had a few questions that I needed answers to, and I thought it would be beneficial rather than maybe wasting my time somewhere else.
Nice. Inshallah. Gee, Raima.
Yeah, I'm a psychology student, and I'm doubting in everything. So I just want to question and clear everything.
What do you speak in Belgian? English?
No, it's Netherlands, Dutch.
Dutch. You speak Dutch.
Yeah.
Netherlands. Okay.
Yeah.
So okay, you're doubting everything you said, right?
Yeah.
Because you think you went into psychology and you're doubting everything?
Yeah. Just because of the placebo effect.
Okay, let's get to that. Let's get that do that in a minute. Anabia.
I also had some questions. So I also joined to ask a few.
Okay. Okay, let's begin with one boy, one girl, one boy, one girl. Okay. So we go with alphabetical order, just so that no one would think, why did I pick one? Let's just take one question each, and then we go to the next question. Okay. G. G. So Ashad.
Okay. So I had a question that I saw a session of yours in which you talked about when the Prophet ﷺ will ask us, what is the reality to your truth? So my question was, how can we become capable to answer such a question by such a man, sallallahu alaihi wasallam?
Okay. Let me get to that part. This is a long. I want to narrate to you the full hadith. Okay. It's, my most favorite hadith is this one. And it's a very long hadith. Uh, and I don't want to break the flow when I start that answer. So that when I give you that answer, obviously it's got a longer answer than the hadith. But I need you to hear it from the people who were listening to that conversation between that tribe and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because those people from the tribe, when they came, the people of Azd, that's the tribe's name, Azd. So remember that famous guy, Toleha Azdi, who claimed to be a prophet? Do you know that about that guy? He was from that tribe. Okay.
Yeah.
So those people from Azd, when they came and they said something, I'm going to narrate to you my most favorite hadith. Okay. But that hadith is only for the ears who understand Arabic. Because the beauty of that hadith inside the way this conversation went about. So that's why I had this little raw smile on my face. But I will narrate to you as much as I can because I'm assuming all of you guys do not know Arabic. I'm assuming and I'm hoping Anabia is still taking her Arabic classes.
I'm done with my Arabic classes. I was in batch 6.
Awesome. Okay. So other than that, I want to give you the answer. Don't worry. لِكُلِّ قَوْلِ حَقِيقَةٌ. Okay. So I'm gonna come back to you, Ashad. So
Okay.
let's go with the next question. Next person. I'm gonna skip Ashad and I'm gonna give Hassan the chance. Yeah.
Okay, so I should go then. So, sir,
Yes, sir.
my question is that people often say that who am I to judge someone when they're trying to correct their moral practices? So, my question is how can we avoid being judgmental and go into a superiority complex when we see the moral practices around us and we try to correct them?
Who are we to judge anybody's moral practices?
Yeah,
Hmm. No, I don't want to be subjective, so I'm gonna ask for some specifics, even though a subjective answer should do for this one. We're always judging anyone and everybody on any kind of practice, be it moral or immoral, for the very purpose of making it moral. The purpose of that is so that we would be protected and we would protect everybody else. That's the very basis of morality, to protect everybody. Anybody who is in any part of the world would break this rule, he'll be put in jail uh, because he'd be endangering anybody else. Now, when it comes down to life or the written law, we understand that and we somehow we get that innate sense of confidence that, yeah, I'm going to stop somebody from breaking the law. But most people don't realize that it is that very law, that very basis of all the laws that ever were made, are going to be made, that we are supposed uh, to stop anybody from making any kind of a adjustment to this very notion. For example, if I let anyone misbehave with me, it would be obvious of why I would react, and it would be obvious for anybody else to judge me for not making sure that this does not happen again. My own kids and my own people would think less of me if I don't stop anyone from misbehaving with me, right?
Yeah.
But why is it that it's just about me? Why can't or why shouldn't it the same rule be upon everybody? That if this kind of misdemeanor is happening on any other level, and I am not the direct affectee, why should I not stop that person from behaving like this, even though I'm not the direct affectee? Now, that's the very basis of why we should stop any kind of behavior, which is, you know, if it is immoral. So it's a general human demand that any and every immoral behavior be stopped by any and every human being who witnesses it or can sense that this can happen and it has not happened yet. So he stops the very source of that behavior. Now you do that you expect me to do that if you're in some kind of trouble from any third person. Anybody would expect a third person to intervene between the oppressor and the oppressed. We judge that third person to be less of a human. We won't even think he's a human being if he's not intervening, even though it's none of his business, apparently. So why is this such a big problem that people think that, you know what, only the police is supposed to intervene voluntarily? Well, no, every human being is supposed to intervene voluntarily. Otherwise, where would we draw a line between, empathy, fairness, and this kind of liberty? So I would rather you be a little more specific so people would understand why I'm choosing these kind of words. Because I would expect every Muslim, every human being, to voluntarily intervene and stop any kind of immoral behavior by anybody who he ever witnesses. It is very simple. This world would stop revolving around its own axis if the fight of good and evil would not continue. So this is the fight of good and evil. People who do not or who are not party to the good are way more evil than the obvious and apparent evil. So spectators are the reason why evil exists. We have to voluntarily stop everybody. Allah Azza wa Jal recognizes this very concept so deeply that he qualifies Muslims in the Quran, calling Muslims as the khairul ummah, the best of the people, because of this responsibility. It's not a mere volunteer act anymore. It is a duty upon all Muslims that whenever they see anything immoral, they stop it, not just by stopping it by any other means, by stopping it with their own hands. It's that big of a problem that we all need to solve. Okay?
But sir,
Here.
what goes on in a person's mind when he stops somebody again and again and again? And does he involve himself in a superiority complex of some sort?
Well, it's not a complex, it's a duty. And if you think you are Superman, that's why it was given to you, then you should understand that Superman is not a luxury, it's a responsibility, first of all. Secondly, it's not about just you, it's about every human being is supposed to do this. Why would you go into a superiority? You judge people, and you should, of not living up to this responsibility. And it's not an ihsan you're doing to anybody. This is a basic duty. If somebody is not fulfilling this duty, he's less of a man. You doing this duty does not make you more of a man. It just makes you barely a man. Why would it
Yeah.
give you a complex? Yeah, this is people who are not doing this are the problem. People who are actually doing it should should call themselves basically on the merit. There's a lot more to do other than just this.
Yeah.
You know, so you shouldn't go through the superiority complex because just most people are not doing their job and you're doing your job, you know? So it's like, I'll give you an example. Nobody comes to work in a company, and this one guy comes to work at 9 a.m., which is the time to come to work. And all of a sudden, next month, he starts to ask for a raise. You know, I said, why are you asking for a raise? If I ask him, he'll be like, yeah, I'm the only guy who's doing it. I'm only the guy who's coming on time. But coming on time is your basic merit. You shouldn't ask for a raise just because nobody else is coming on time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
I mean, I should demote and fire those people who are not coming in time, on time, rather than, you just thinking that you're better than them. Well, you're not better than them. You're just barely making it. You know, it's some people are just great because their contemporaries are not. Okay, the merit is Islam. Even the merit of ihsan is going to come from Islam. This is not ihsan that you're actually stopping evil from your own hand. I'm sorry. This is the bare minimum merit. Okay, so you shouldn't think that this is something it makes you better than anybody. It just makes you a human being in the eyes of Allah, a Muslim. Makes you a Muslim. Did you get the? I mean, did
Yeah,
I?
I understand. I
Yeah.
understand.
Okay. Okay. Hey, Anabia.
Yes, sir. So my first question is how can we manage or deal with anxiety, especially in large groups or before an event or an important thing?
Well, the general human behavior is based on the amygdala response. Any animal with this instinctive behavior would avoid or run away from that situation. Okay. That's the general human response. But now you don't have just the amygdalas, right? You have the prefrontal cortex, you have the whole neocortex, and you know better and you should know better than to just follow your basal ganglia, your lizard brain. So what to do? Well, you do the exact opposite of avoiding the situation. You put yourself into this situation every single time consciously, and you monitor your brain and body response consciously, and you see how it is going to taper down. It's not just going to go away just like that. It's going to taper itself down. The more you're going to expose yourself to these sort of situations, the lesser you're going to have anxiety. So you confront it. It's that simple. Okay, Nabia?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Now you don't just confront it by just jumping in the pool, right? You go confronting yourself throughout the process, the whole journey of going to the edge of the pool as well, getting out of bed, making up your mind, walking towards the car, driving to the pool. All of this time, you have to consciously see where your response and what kind of response are you getting. The more you're gonna see them consciously, the less they're gonna happen. Okay, the more you're gonna let them come to you subconsciously, the more they're gonna happen. So you have to be consciously going through every step of that journey towards jumping in that pool. And when you're gonna be actually jumping into the pool, you should monitor yourself. Okay, whatever
Okay.
that situation is.
Okay, sir.
Uh-huh. Anything else you want to add to this?
Mm, not really. It answered my question.
Yeah, because I have a few questions for you guys as well. So, better make use of the opportunity right now. All right, go on. Zaima.
Yeah. Sir, I have a question that is it okay to have a generation gap among your own generation?
Well, we don't call it a generation gap, okay? We call it the cognitive speed,
Okay.
okay? Because there is no way to call it a generation gap. I mean, there has
Well,
to be a, you know,
yeah.
generations gap to have a generations gap,
Well,
right?
yeah. Okay.
So cognitive speed, what is cognitive speed? Let me tell you what cognitive speed is. Uh, if I give you a computer which is going to do all of the things for you and does not make you or let you put any kind of effort into, processing any kind of data, any kind of problem, right? It's like assume the calculator. People who were in school before the calculator was invented, they had to run all of the calculations on paper themselves. Okay.
Yeah.
But as soon as the calculator came in, now people would assume that, you know what, just because I was like a person A who was running the abacus and his son got the calculator, he would think that I got a bigger brain and better speed of running data through my brain because I do all of the calculations myself. And this boy who's got a calculator would be less uh, in speed of processing all of that data. Hence, I'll be smarter than my son because I run the calculations on paper or the abacus, and my boy runs through the calculator, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
Saima.
Yeah, I'm
But
listening.
that's the exact opposite. The boy with the calculator will have a higher cognitive speed because he's going to obviously making the calculator run those calculations for him and right in front of it, right?
Yeah.
That's called cognitive speed. So with that calculator example, you'll understand that when you put YouTube there, they are giving you lectures. They have people talking to you about concepts which you could have read in the book, but that book you would have had to go in the library and then read page by page, letter by letter. That's not happening. Now YouTube is making people talk to you. Netflix is making those concepts, skippable for you. Okay, skippable means you can get the boring stuff out and go to the thing that interests you. So your cognitive speed is way more than anybody who's going through a book. Now, I'm not saying it's a good thing. What I'm saying is because you asked me about the gap.
Yeah.
The cognitive speed is, you know what a cognition is, right? You're studying psychology. You
Yeah.
guys
Yeah.
who are or whoever's going to watch this video who does not know what cognition is, we all know what recognition is. Recognition is when cognition happens the second time. That means we recognize this.
Yeah.
So when you take recognition and you take the second entry of that interface out, the first entry is the cognition. So the first time you get to experience anything, interface anything, that's cognition. Second time you go through that, you recognize that. That's recognition, right? Recognition. So cognition has its own processing speed. Our mind works in a standard way. But if something is helping us going through that cognition, we start to assume that we're smarter. And you, at some point, in some level, you are, but you're not wiser. You're just smarter. So, so you are going to start to assume that people who are not at that speed are dumber, and we generalize that notion in our head so fast that we think they're generally dumb people, and we think that they're dumb in every situation in life. And we stop talking to them about certain critical things, which we only look for smart people to talk to because we need help with those things. So all of a sudden, you start to sway apart from those people who are not accustomed to your kind of instruments that are helping you get that cognitive speed, right? So that gap you can feel even if it is from your mother or father or your friends who are not used to those kind of instruments that are helping you gain that speed of cognition. Now, with higher the speed of cognition, the lower the rate of retention is. You need to understand that as well. And there's this other concept, which is the kinesthetic concept of when you experience all of that knowledge, that's when you actually gain wisdom and you actually gain that real knowledge. Otherwise, you can process a lot of information and still not know what to do with that information. You can be well informed and not knowledgeable at the same time. So the point is not to gain a lot of speed. Point is to put it to some use, right?
Yeah.
Now I can do a plus b whole square equals to a square plus b square plus 2ab, but I don't know what to do with it. Then what's the point of me knowing this algebra, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the gap that people go through because of the external help that they're getting from whatever instruments that they have, be it a smart screen, you know, gadgets and whatever. So you are going to feel that gap. That's normal and natural.
Okay, so that's normal.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well,
Okay.
you're a little fast paced because of your cognition. That does not mean you're smarter. Okay, don't. That would be a superiority complex. Okay,
Hmm.
yeah, because it's false confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So anyone else? Ashad, do you have any other question?
Yes. So another question I have is, when we sin, how do we bounce back from that sin instead of, falling into a depressive sort of state? I couldn't think of another word, so I used it. And thinking whether or not, we are capable to fight the big fight.
Well, everyone's going to sin. Okay, there is no way that you can get away with this. There is no state of sinlessness. Okay, first of all, get that constant straight. That's like the first law
No,
of humans.
yeah, I got that. So that's what I was asking. So, because we are gonna sin, so how do we deal with that sin after we have done it and
Yeah, that's what
not
I'm
go
getting at.
into it?
I know. That's what I'm trying to tell you. First, you get to understand the fact that you need to embrace your human hood. Okay. The companions asked the Prophet ﷺ, and they said it in these very words. They said, when we are in your presence, O Prophet ﷺ, we are on the top of our iman. And when we are not in your presence, it seems as if we have committed kufr. We're in the state of kufr. It is that much of a difference. The Prophet ﷺ said, he said, if you had kept that state of iman which you have in my presence, and you had maintained that level at all times, then if you'd walk in the street, angels would come down thinking you're one of them and embrace you. Okay. So what does that mean? Well, what it means is that we are going to fall down. We are going to falter. We are going to, you know, uh, do something which is lower than our expected standards. But the best part about being a human being and not an angel, and which is something that makes us a little higher on the rank than any angel can go to. We're not saying that every human being is on a higher rank than any angel. That's not how it is. Abu Jahl is not better than Jibreel. So just being a human being doesn't make you better than an angel. What makes you better than an angel is that angels cannot fall down on that standard. So they do not have that test of getting themselves up. We can fall down. I mean, it's not our ability to fall down. It was designed within us. So we falling down does not make us better than anything. If anything, that makes us worse than anyone. But we have the ability to pick ourselves up with the instrument of faith in Allah Azza wa Jal, that yes, He is going to forgive me, and He is going to have that expectation that I'm not going to do this again. And He is going to be disappointed with me, and I am going to wash away that disappointment in Allah Azza wa Jal's point of eyes by a better performance than the opportunity I got and I failed. So this this ladder that you use every single time. So if you commit the same sin again and again, and that's a different problem, that's a psychological issue. But if you commit different sins and you different mistakes, and then you repent, and then you have the deeper sense of remorse, and then you're climbing up the ladder, coming back to your part level, that is that climb that is raising you higher than the angel. You settling yourself down with nihilism, thinking nothing can be done now. You're going down thinking, oh, I'm better than the angel because I can commit a sin. You assuming that God's going to forgive you regardless of whether, you have remorse or not. All of these things are the things that are making you go down, not less than angels. You're already less than angels because you're going down. but way less than any other animal as well, any other creature. We going up is that trajectory, holding on the sake of Allah, for the sake of Him only. That is that the journey. That is the journey which actually raises our ranks. So you need to look at that journey. Now, you cannot, the best part about this journey is that you cannot look forward to it when you're not on that journey. Okay. Because in order to be on that journey, you need to fall down first, right? So you cannot just start committing sins to just, you know what, get a kick out of that journey. Then there is no remorse, right? Remorse is that you are already repenting. So Tawbah Tawbah has a prerequisite. There is no empty hollow shells in this gun. Okay. Tawbah only works when you are so disappointed with yourself, so ashamed that you can't even pick your head up in front of the mirror. Only then you can go towards Tawbah. Okay. The other kind of Tawbah that we are getting used to is the is the is the is the first part I was talking about. That if you justify it already, or you assume that it's going to be forgiven already, then you're never going to come out. So you need to be so ashamed, and you cannot lecture anybody to be ashamed, right? Shame comes from within. If you are ashamed, then you know it. You don't need a lecture for this. So I cannot tell you how to be ashamed. What I'm telling you is that if you do not have that shame, and you are less than shameful, justifying it, or getting that little sense of achievement that, yeah, you know what, now I'm gonna, be better than angels. Then I'm sorry, you you don't have the right, you know, philosophy for this whole uh, hierarchy of how and who is placed where. So remorse, that's what we call remorse, is that shame that we have. You should be throwing up when you're alone about the things that you've done. And your father, your mother, or friends cannot make you throw up, right? That comes from within. So you develop that shame by understanding and envisioning standing in front of Allah and the Prophet, standing in front of a billion trillion angels and billion trillion human beings. Imagine all of them seeing or getting to know about your sins. Imagine the embarrassment. Imagine the shame. You better imagine it every single morning. Spend 5 minutes as soon as you wake up. Imagine the scenery of the day of judgment. 5 minutes. Okay. No, don't do it for more than 5 minutes, but do it for 5 minutes. Don't do it for 4 minutes. Before you do anything, wake up. Whenever you wake up, just close your eyes. Imagine the day of judgment. Imagine things going on. Every single day that you can do this, within 3 months or 4 months, within that, you're going to get those kind of details and those kind of pixels in that picture in your vision, that you'll be amazed as to how clear this thing becomes. And that is the time when you're going to start to imagine. I mean, you know the reality of all of this, and then you'll be like, oh, I cannot be ashamed in front of so many people. Let me give you an example. Yesterday, you committed a sin, a very minor or even a major sin, but you committed that in privacy. And somehow there are 5 people in this room, I start talking about this in front of these 4 people right in front of you. Imagine what you'd be going through at that time. Imagine how embarrassing that spree of my words would be, and that time would stop for you, and you would feel like killing yourself. And I'm just talking about yesterday. Okay, I'm not talking about all your life and whenever. So this is going to be in front of every human being, that you will be discussed. And it is Allah Azza wa Jal's grace that He might not. I mean, He would He protect you by not disclosing your affairs to people, and pray for that every day, because there will be some people who Allah would whisper, just like standing right nose to nose, and He'd be whispering in our ear about what we did. There will be some people, but people who do not have that remorse in this planet, in this life, they would be announced. And if I go right now in, let's just say, South Africa, and die there, and get buried there. I won't be raised in South Africa. I'll be brought in wherever I had lived and committed all of those acts so that people would know that this is the man who affected us. That's the day of embarrassment. So unless you have that picture, you're not going to have that kind of shame inside. And if you don't have that shame inside, you're not going to have that remorse. If you do not have that remorse, you know, you're going to keep yourself in that loop, and you're not, you from one sin to a bigger sin to the biggest sin. That's the cycle you're going to be on. And you'll see that the more you're going to sin, the less you're going to have remorse. And the less you're going to have remorse, the bigger you're going to have, the more energy you're going to have to sin even more. So I'll give you a little example. There's this guy who was caught committing adultery, and he went to Umar ibn Khattab, obviously was sentenced, and he said, "Oh, Amirul Mu'mineen, oh Umar ibn Khattab, please forgive me, for Allah only always forgives the first time. Give me a second chance. It's the first time I committed this." And Umar ibn Khattab says, "This could not have been the first time. You're lying right now. Because Allah protects you the first time. It's only you become an addict to this sort of crime or any crime that you actually lose the shame. And when you lose the shame, Allah exposes you." He started crying and he says, "So you were so right. It is not the first time. I was lying. It's not the first time." So if you do not have remorse, you are going to keep committing this. And even if you're not committing this, you're going to get exposed. And that embarrassment would help you getting that remorse. And you'd be thinking, Allah embarrassed me. Well, Allah didn't embarrass you. Allah does not get anything from your embarrassment. Allah did this embarrassment in this planet, with a few hundred people or less or more, so that you can be saved from that embarrassment. He's training you right now. Before we were born, Ashad, we asked for certain things from Allah. The Quran says that. And Allah told us that if you want this, for example, if I want strength, then Allah said, I'm going to put you through some gym training in this planet. If we ask for courage, Allah told us, okay, I'm gonna develop courage. I'm not gonna make you be born a mutant, right? You're gonna go through a cycle. If you want courage to do whatever you want to achieve, which I am telling you, which you're promising me, I'm gonna send you to this planet, and you're gonna develop courage, obviously through going through whatever activities that develop courage. But as soon as we go through those little events, we start blaming our luck and fate, and, start doubting Allah. But even though He is the one who asked, yeah, I need to be the courageous leader and warrior and whatever. So we need to be trained into this. So whatever calamity befalls upon you, befalls upon you, or whatever hurt that you get, or whatever problem that you face, they are the training grounds. These problems train you into becoming that guy who is going to be eligible for the purpose that you were given before we were born. So just like that, if you're getting embarrassed here, you haven't developed the remorse. So you might just get that shock treatment and you get embarrassed. You feel that this is the kind of embarrassment, obviously multiplied by a gazillion on that day. And I don't want to be embarrassed on that day. I better be embarrassed here. So let's just go through that training right now. So I'm giving you a long answer so that you understand this is the one problem Muslim girls and boys have lost. I'm telling you this right now. It's not a human problem. It's a Muslim problem. Because human beings in other religions, I swear to you, I know them in enough of a sample to know that Muslims have disrupted their culture somewhere, somehow. We do not punish ourselves for our own crimes. I'm telling you this right now. We should be disgusted with our own selves in our own solitude. We should be crying and literally puking in our own solitude with no one is looking because of the crime that we committed. That's the punishment that human beings should go to. And non-Muslims are going through this in a lot of cultures without any kind of, Quran or any kind of religious theology running through their blood. No, they just do it through their fitrah. We've somehow corrupted the fitrah, and we don't feel that remorse for our own crimes. So Hussein al-Islam said that you're only a moment if you are as much of a moment in solitude which you are in public, because a lot of people pose in front of public, right? So in solitude, if you're not practicing those standards, you're not a moment. I'm sorry, you're faking it. Allah in the Quran says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, aminu. Imagine the verse. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, all people who believe. Aminu, believe. So you cannot be a moment unless you are as much of a moment in solitude, when you're alone in your own privacy. Okay. That you are in public. So it is rather simple to understand, but very hard to practice because it's a fight between you and your own self. Crime and punishment, both have to come from within you and your own self, for your own self. You do not, or anybody does not have the right to judge anybody else or impose punishment or even recommend it if he does not do it for his own self in his own time. Okay, you need to understand this. So I'm gonna connect that first question with you right here instead of going on that route. That if you think you're a Mu'min, if you think you're a Muslim, then what is the haqiqat of this call, this statement? Where's the substance behind this claim? Well, this is the substance. If I do not cry in my solitude, remembering my sin, remembering my crime, if I sleep sound, I sleep a criminal. I sleep the sleep of a criminal. If my pillow is not wet every night from the faults that I've committed, the injustice, because of my casual behavior towards my family, friends in the world, because of the lack of that vigor that I feel about the purpose that I was sent on this planet, if I'm not crying every night and I'm sleeping sound, then I sleep the sleep of a criminal. And I'm telling you this right now. This remorse, this guilt, this disgust that you should feel about your own self, this is the only real asset that is going to save you and bring you into privacy in the presence of Allah Azza wa Jal on that day when everyone will be exposed. Everything will be exposed. And you do not want, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Okay. So if you're not practicing Islam in your privacy will not be practiced on the day of Islam, on Yawmuddin. Okay. You need your privacy to be protected on the day of Yawmuddin. If you're not practicing your deen in your privacy right now, then your privacy will not be protected in the Yawmuddin. So make sure you understand that. Yeah. So anybody else has anything else? I don't
Yes,
want to
sir.
Yeah.
make a long meeting out of this because I like talking to you guys. You guys are smart kids. And I'm telling you, there's a lot more that I expect from you than your brains. Do they generate a picture of a child when I'm going to finish the statement, assuming that I'm going to compare you with children? No. I expect I expect a lot more from you guys than I'm telling you, from old folks who are in their 40s and 50s. Yeah. I expect less from kids, obviously, because they're kids, but I expect a lot lesser from the adults right now roaming around this planet, calling themselves Muslims. And they are the problems in Islam, to Islam, about Islam. They are the problem. We are the problem we are the cancer that Islam is suffering from right now. So you kids, you teenagers, you are the reason why I have hope. You are the reason why I think I got what or two or three or four things. I gotta finish that task because of that program, that session, that event. I gotta write that article. I gotta attend that lecture. I gotta give that lecture. I mean, you have no idea how important you guys are right now. And you're gonna cross this age and you're gonna jump into the same seas that the last generation was swimming in. I'm telling you, even if you make it out of that sea, you finish those long haul, jobs that you're gonna do, which of course the last gen you're still a loser. You're gonna lose in the end. You're gonna jump in a totally different sea now. And you're gonna get all of whatever they wanted and even more. But you won't get it for your own self. You're going to get it for everybody else, and you're going to get it for the purpose. You are not born as single individuals, even if you are born in the farthest part of the planet as a single child to a family of Muslims. You're born as a part of a team. You're part of a community. You better get the sense of that community. And I'm telling you, you would even think less of your own identical twin brother or sister if he was not doing more than enough for you voluntarily. But since we're not given that sense of community in our own homes, we do not care. We just don't care. And even if it's saying somebody's saying he does, he's just lying because we don't really have any actions to show that we actually care for the Muslims. So we better start preparing ourselves in psychology, in our own psychology. That no, I need to first change the pool. I gotta swim in a totally different pool, and that pool has its own problems, its own pros and different cons. But I'm not gonna play the same game these last generation played, and nobody came out a winner anyway. Even if they won, they would become what? Elon Musk's and Jeff Bezos and whatever. What would they have become? The rich people or the more stable career people. What did they do to Islam? Nothing. If anything, they actually attracted a lot of people out of Islam because they gave a little proof that this current system works, even though they're not in many numbers, so everybody knows this system doesn't work. But even if they made it out, a lot of people jumped in the pool because looking at them made the other people who jumped in believe that yes, I'd make it out as well, and I'd make it out with a Ferrari or or Lamborghini or a big house or those wives and those kids. I don't know what people have, you know, sitting inside their heads as dreams. But I know is that what I'm saying is not a dream. It's Prophet said, Al Jannah Haqq, Al Jahannam Haqq. That is the real truth. This is the fight that everybody's got to fight. And you need a lot of money for that. You need a lot of politics for that. You need a lot of IQ for that. So you better be jumping into books. But these books should take you to, because of a different purpose, you should open these books. Because of a different purpose, you should make that money. Because of a different purpose, you should create your influence. So Raima in Brazil, Belgium, and Anavia in Arabia, and you boys in England, you guys should start to understand that unless you guys are affecting the whole planet because of wherever you are, or at least more than Arabia, or more than Belgium, or more than England, then you are not you're not part of the solution. You're part of the problem. Okay, because we are everywhere. We're 2 billion Muslims and 7-8 billion human beings. We need a very big solution, and that solution can only come through a very strong blockchain. You better start making that blockchain. And how it's going to be created? Well, through your performance, through your academic careers, through your business careers, through your political careers, through your moral careers. Okay. You need to understand there's some other set of beings who are monitoring all of these. And they're registering through us, through a rating system. And they have ratings. And I know I got to do certain things every single day to get high on that rating. And I need that rating. I want to be the celebrity of the angels on the day of judgment, thinking, you know what? This man, this man knew the mission. He did whatever he could in the mission. And he did it in the smartest possible way so that he can do the mission in the most, you know, efficient and optimum way. That's the reason a lot of, people made it. Those are the kind of statements that you want to hear on Day of Judgment. Okay. I am credit hungry, but I have different books where I need that credit. These little key accounts and ledgers, I do not need any credit here. I need that credit there. And here, I'd have to give every single bit of credit that comes my way. That's the job. So if I say this to any of the last generation, they'll be like, you lost it. You're not mentally well. You should go to a psychologist because we need the recognition. We need the credit to feel better, to gain our confidence. No, we don't. You do. I don't. Muslims know that their credit should come through and go to a totally different being. That's the start of the Quran. The start, the very first ayah of the Quran. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Nobody else deserves any kind of credit. So you know the purpose, you go do your job. That's the thing. Whatever you need, you're gonna get your own planet, practice there, be your own boss, be the owner of everything in your own planet. Here, you gotta serve. You got to serve. And you gotta serve only as a community because you're gonna play solo, you're not gonna make it anyway. Doesn't matter who you are, where you are, what you do. You play as a team and you know that you're only picking out your teammates based on your own purpose, then you'll see that you are going to get a lot more than all of these folks in this planet as well. Okay? And you need that. وَأَعِدُّ لَهُم مَّا اسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن قُوَّةٍ. You need that. You need that power. You need the resources. How are they going to come? They're going to come through your IQs and your team. So you work together. You know how a blockchain is formed. Go through what the technicalities are and connect with each other. Okay. And people are going to only connect with you if you have something to give, which means your IQ, your knowledge, your support. And unless you start today, I'm telling you, every year you're going to drift so far away from this purpose that even if you want to, you won't be able to come back in the next decade. You'll be too stuck inside that career or that move and that job, and that life, and that wife, and that kids, and that school or whatever. You won't be able to give up that. So might as well in your teens make a decision right now. And I'm telling you, a lot of teens have made that decision. They're coming in by the dozens, alhamdulillah, coming in by thousands. But they're not in places which you are in. They do not have the kind of brain that you have. They need your performance and your kind of directory call to understand how to do it better. Okay. So you gotta make a resume for those people to rely on you. That's your real job. Okay. I hope I've made myself clear. And I'm going to keep repeating these statements every time we're going to meet. And I'm going to meet any boy or girl, especially in your age. So don't get bored. Yes. Anything else?
Sir, well, I think the main problem is that we don't communicate, and that's why this generation is now in depression.
True. Actually, that's very true. We are shy on things which are critical to even our survival. So we do not communicate. So what's the solution, Raima? There's a very simple solution to this.
Well, I'm not sure, but I think we need to be patient and we need to learn that how can we listen to other people. Because if someone is sharing his or her problem with me and I'm just laughing and making jokes, and that person is gonna isolate them herself or himself. So I've seen a lot of people suffering from the same thing. And that's, I think that is the root of this, the problem of this generation, that everyone is suffering from depression and anxiety and all that things. And that's why we always need something like a social, we have a kind of status anxiety, that we want some kind of clothes that, so everyone will gonna look at us, and yeah, we just need attention. But at some point we also don't need it. We are not able to share our problems with our parents. We cannot share it with our teachers. One time I did, and my teacher told me that I have to go to the psychologist because I think too much. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's
Well, what you're going through is called dissonance. You're looking at all of these people doing certain things and you're seeing them making rules out of that game. And you somehow can't even connect with the purpose of the game. So you're never going to follow the rules, but you're going to be, reprimanded if you don't follow the rules. So that's called dissonance. You don't even agree with the rules, but you got to play the game. That's dissonance. Okay. You don't agree with the purpose of the game, but you got to play the game.
the
Dissonance. That's a psychological issue.
yeah. But then I think we should make a social contract so everyone can understand it, because yeah, as a new generation, we are really depressed because no one is listening to us. We can't communicate our problems. For our parents, it's it's a minor problem, but for us it's a big problem that we are not understanding something. Yeah, and we can't communicate with someone.
Well, I will have to know a little more specifics because every different kind of area requires different kind of levels of kind and levels of communication. But generally speaking, you're right. We need to open a lot more interface for people to come and talk. People should be able to understand uh, what you're trying to communicate, but there has to be a lot more and a lot bigger platforms where people can come in as a community. So, r- your, I mean, issue with the parents is a totally different kind of issue. It requires a different kind of communication and requires a lot of emotional confrontation. And you need to do that. But generally speaking, yeah, you're right. Most of the people are not trained to listen. They never take their feedback, never. And and they start, to draw lines of judgment without even understanding or knowing what the other person is going through or what is he actually saying. What does that actually mean? So how do you solve that problem? Well, you open all the channels of communication and you communicate very clearly and loudly so that people can actually stop assuming things. Secondly, people would see you as a proof of concept and they would start communicating as well. It takes the first draw of the rain to cause the rain, right? Who's the first draw of the rain? It would never rain without the first draw of the rain, right? Even if cloud is all filled up with it. You require that first row of the soldiers to start the battle. So you need to take the initiative, Rama, take the initiative instead of waiting for everybody else to just, start creating this culture. You need to be the first draw of the rain. Okay.
Okay, but sir, we are also not giving the space to the other people's opinion. We should learn it.
Not just that we should learn it, we should train our kids into it.
Can
Yeah.
you hear
Can you
me?
hear me?
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
Yeah. It should be part and parcel of a parenting program of how you know, to do this, whatever you just said. Kids should be trained into this, hardwired
But
into this attribute.
yeah, we also don't have any kind of values and norms in our Pakistani society.
Well, no, we have some values and norms. Those norms are actually pretty anti-Islamic, but we have norms. Okay. So you're in Belgium, you should start working towards a community now. Start gathering up at least girls around you and go global and start talking to your age boys and girls to understand what you can give them as knowledge and how you can get help in getting knowledge from them. So that's the first thing you got to do. You're at an age, I don't expect you to have, great business leadership resumes right now. In 10 years, yeah, I'd require, that's the least I'd require from you guys. But in this age, I'd require a lot more IQ. You should be around, all of you guys should be hitting the 130, 140 mark in the IQ. You should have a very stable emotional intelligence, very stable. Not the best in the world, okay, but very stable. You can grow into a very strong emotional being later on. But right now, you got to be stable. So these few assets that only your age can have, you should have them by now. You're not just teenagers, you're just about to exit your teenage. So you should have all of those attributes by now. You should be a lot more composed. You should be a lot more patient. So how are you going to do that? You put yourself into these kind of situations where these attributes are required and they will develop in you. You run away from these situations, they'll never develop. Okay.
Okay.
Hmm. So who knows IMS?
I
I
am
do.
a part of MS.
Arshad.
Okay. So quick. Hopefully, we just got the green flag from Android. The Google Play Store that our app is good to go. We have not got the results from iOS. So we do not know when we will be able to launch it on Apple, but the IMS app is now out of the testing mode. It takes a couple of weeks before they issue a license, so we can actually publish it. So I need you to guys to start the teenage club there. I need you guys to get all the people who I'm going to facilitate. Don't worry, they're not going to be teenagers. They'll be speakers from around the world. You tell me which category, I'll get you a speaker. But that's not how a club runs. The club runs through club members, not through visiting speakers. So you open that club with certain standards and values, and then you get everybody in who's going to contribute. There's going to be a rating system in IMS. So the more you're going to be doing stuff, the more you're going to get rated. So understand the reason why I'm telling you, because we have a platform where you guys can connect, communicate, hold your own conferences, hold your own seminars, hold your own sessions, and you are going to be tested by IMS of how pure your energy and intents are. So you can channel that through there. We're going to start publishing it in all over every country in the world. And there are going to be so many programs within IMS that is going to make sure that we all become, whoever is a member is focusing as a single human being, single body, single ummah, single organism. And we know the 6 and 7 indicators that human psychology needs to convert a group into a team, or a book into an ummah. So we are going to do that. Hopefully January will be coming in strongly, inshallah.
So,
So use that to become a community now. Use it. Please.
so my question is that according to the last ayah of Surah Talaq, there are seven samawats and seven earths. But the modern multiversal theory suggests that there is an infinite amount of universes. The question is that no doubt Allah's power is also infinite. Then why did Allah specifically choose seven as the number of universes to create?
7 is a very, very important number. Well, I'm going to give you a short answer. We can do a totally different series of sessions on the number 7 in Islam. The shorter answer is, have you not thought about how come everything is revolving around a single center? Have you thought about that, Hassan?
What is the center? What is the center you're
Everything. You,
talking about?
you pick out anything. Just name me anything that Allah made.
The trees?
Trees, okay. So the trees are uh, made up of little cells. Those cells have nucleuses. Every electron in that nucleus is revolving around the nucleus, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So Allah, whenever He makes anything, it has a signature. There's always going to be a single center, and everything will be revolving around that single center, from the trees to any atoms to anything to the big galaxies out there. Okay. So when you see the whole galaxies, you see the whole, as much as you can see in the observable cluster of the universe, you see that, trillions of galaxies are there. And those trillions of galaxies are centered in a whatever thing that they have in the center. We call it a black hole. All the galaxies with trillions and billions and gazillions of stars and planets are revolving around a single center, right? So once you understand that this is the design, you can easily deduce, and this is just a deduction, that this universe had 7 heavens, had to have an odd number, so that all of or these heavens can somehow rotate around a single center. For that, you need to have 3 and 3 with the fourth in the middle, right?
Hmm.
Now we understand that the geometry of the universe is so much so that spectacular that all of the heavens are centralized around some core, and for that core to exist, you need a single center. And if it were 8 heavens, we would not been able to get a single center in because it would have had to be in a non-galactical space
Hmm.
or non-universal space. But no, it has to be in some universal space, and it is there, and which is why it is the fourth or whatever the central number would be at that time. Because when we say fourth in seven, that's just unidimensional conversation. This universe is not a single dimension or it's a multi-dimensional geometry. So the seven combines not as number four out of seven, because that is the middle of seven. It could be seven, and every other the six dimensions are revolving around it, and everything around in the heavens in seven heavens would be part of that revolution around that center. So this is the short answer. You can see that significance of seven through this angle, and you'll find out that you know I'm just thinking too small because I'm a part of a planet where where I am probably the smallest thing in that planet. I'm 1 millionth, 16 millionth of a part of this planet. Okay, so 1 by 16 million. That's who I am in this planet. Okay, to the power of something. Not 16 million. 16 million to the power of something, right? So I'm that small. I mean, I can only deduce whatever my little brain can. When I'm going to see the whole universe, I can only run the numbers through a very abstract, uh, angle. So Allah is telling you, don't even have to be that abstract. I'm going to give you some direction. There's seven, okay, and everyone has certain planets, certain suns, stars. So you can see that if you can study enough from your own observable universe, you can see that the whole geometry will be visible to you. So now there are more galaxies that you can see, which they plot on the graphs, which are red dotted galaxies, which means that they have a black hole. And you can see that picture, you'll find out that 99.999% of all galaxies are centered with a black hole. Okay, so we understand that there's a single center phenomena, the signature. This is how the make is. We can see go to or inside our own self, we can see the same phenomena, single center. Okay, and everything revolving around it. So the whole universe in these seven heavens had to have an odd number where there's a single center, and all of these universes revolving around a single center. Hence seven. Hence the number seven. Hence you can see all of whatever is happening in Islam is numbered around an odd number. Okay.
So I've got a follow-up as well. So should I go? So
Sure.
my question is that Allah mentions that when Qiyamah happens, the first samawat will be folded up. So that
Yeah.
means the rest of the six heavens will remain intact.
Wallahu alam. Yeah. Surah Anbiya, ayat
Yes.
104. Yeah.
So that means that whatever we do in our whatever we do, we cannot escape to the second skies, because if we do that, then we would escape Qiyamah.
Well, there are different interpretations of that ayah, and it is given a cover by a hadith that everything will be destroyed by Allah. Okay. Now, there's a cover from a hadith. So
Mhm.
there's different ways of interpreting that. But yeah, given your hypothesis, yeah, if we go to a different uh, heaven, we won't see this whole phenomena coming about. Technically speaking, yeah, that would be job one, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Save all humanity, like literally.
Uh, Sir, I've actually got some question. Do you know about Hawking radiation?
Yes, sir, I do.
Sir, I wanted to present it. I'm a university student, so I wanted to present it to a physics professor that uh, if we treat black holes as a tier in space and time, and maybe it's the way to access multi the multiple universes. Maybe that radiation that's coming out from there is from those universes. So could you help me in that? Like I want to make a presentation over that. But not. I do not have the complete information of how Islam interprets that whole thing.
How does Islam represent the Hawking radiation? People who do not know, please explain to them what all let me tell you what Hawking radiation would mean through this lens. Around the disk of the black hole, see, there's so much gravity that everything goes in, but they
Mm.
are still microparticles coming out.
Yeah.
And they're not just coming out from around the black hole. Actually, they're coming out from within the black hole as well.
Yes. Yes.
Those particles, even though there's so much gravity that even light cannot come out, but these particles are coming out. Those
Mm.
particles are called the Hawking radiation. So you tell me if something is coming out as micro as whatever it is. Now, and I'm not going to give you my idea about this because I don't want you to start thinking on my. I mean, you need to keep your original whatever your thesis is. When I was reading, and when I read, I mean, I have to read this a lot because of whatever thing that I'm working on. You tend to think that science is contradicting its own philosophy here in so many
Yeah.
ways. So either it's got half of this right or all of it wrong. I mean, they don't
Yeah,
have
that's why
all of
it's
it
called
right
a
because,
paradox. They cannot figure it out.
yeah, no, I know. I mean, that's why the word paradox. I know. But okay, let me tell you something. The fastest thing in the universe is what?
Light.
No, it's not, right? We now know it's not.
Yeah,
The
it's not.
fastest thing is was supposed to be, the speed at which the universe is expanding, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very fast in the light. But now we know that after knowing quantum entanglement, we know that light is not light is too slow for this sort of phenomena to happen, right? But my question was simple, and I'm going to go back to your Hawking radiation thesis so that you would know how to look at it from a different angle from Islam. That if cosmic microwave radiation background is the rim of the universe, okay,
Mm.
then everything should expand from within the rim, not the rim itself, because for the rim to expand, the rim has to be in a totally different space,
Mm.
right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, so that means even science should call this universe within a universe
Yeah.
for
Mm.
this universe to expand itself into, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. So let me, if you can get that, I don't want to bore the rest of the people who are not into physics because they just look at
Yes.
them, look at them. Oh my God, they're about to cry.
Mm.
Look at them.
No, well,
So,
very interesting because I'm also interested in physics,
Yeah, me too. I am as well.
especially about
okay,
the
I believe you. I believe you. I believe it. So I'll give you a hadith so you'll understand this perspective of black hole, Hawking radiation. And the Prophet ﷺ said that this heaven, our heaven, the first heaven, compared to the second heaven, is like a ring placed inside a desert.
Yeah.
A ring. Okay, make sure you understand the choice of the Prophet's words. Ring. And that second heaven is a ring in a desert, with desert being the third heaven. It's an analogy so that we can understand how enormous the next heaven is, right? But the ring, it's not a space, it's not a grain of sand in the desert. No, no, no. That would be an appropriate analogy if it were an analogy only about the size, right? A grain in a desert. But Prophet said, no, it's not a grain in a desert, it's the ring that we wear, right? Ring in a desert. And the third heaven is a ring in the desert, and the fourth, and so on and so forth. And the seventh is the desert for the ring, which is the sixth heaven. And the seventh heaven is a ring in front of the Arsh of Allah. Okay. So you see the geometry and the symmetry and all that stuff.
Mm. Yeah.
Now, when you look at the black hole, you can see that ring in some way, shape, or form. And since there's so many black holes, you can see that these could be a doorways. And when you come out of that doorway, it would it, it would show you how enormous that next heaven is. And how would this heaven look like in the second heaven? It would look like a ring, right? So in other
Yeah.
words, this universe itself, Hassan, that we're living in, this could be a black hole.
Mm. That's quite interesting because
According to the
general
hadith, it
relativity.
is, right?
Yeah, because according to general relativity, when you approach the center of the black hole, which is a singularity, time itself ends.
Yeah.
So maybe that's how Qiyamah will come. We approach the singularity and time ends.
Yeah. It could be, but I meant within the black hole, not after you pass through it.
Mm-hmm.
So, uh, Allah in the Quran says, يَوْمَ تَبَدَّلُ الْأَرْضَ غَيْرُ الْأَرْضِ. That day I will change this whole terrestrial definition and give a totally different type of planetary definitions to whatever terrestrial plane is going to happen. So it's not going to be in this planet, right? It's going to be, even if it is going to happen on this planet, it's going to be totally different dimension. يَوْمَ تَبَدَّلُ الْأَرْضَ غَيْرُ الْأَرْضِ. When change this earth from a totally different earth on that day. So we are going to be buried here. Obviously, we are buried here, and we're going to wake up from here. So why is this a different earth? Well, it's going to be in a totally different matrix, different dimension, different rules, different laws. Okay.
Yeah.
So it could mean that, I mean, I could go on for days in this one. We can keep talking about this, but you wanted to publish a paper, right?
Yeah.
So write down that one line problem statement that you're trying to solve, and I can connect you with a lot of professors in America who
Yeah.
would be, glad to go through and then channel you into the right corridors of where it can be published.
Okay. Sure, sir.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I'll contact Mr. Hassan and then I'll let you know about it.
Yeah. You know what's so ironic? Today I got a paper from IMS. So let me show you tell you what that paper. Did you send me that paper? No, this is by Mudassir, Mr. Muhammad Mudassir. I just got a paper in IMS. The transformation of visible matter into singularity through the lens of Islam. Could you believe that? Let me send you this paper. This is so amazing that you are talking about this, and I just got
Yes.
this document. So Marine, set up this meeting, right? Marine just sent me that paper from IMS. Tell her to send it to you guys as well, so you can read. I have not gotten through that. I have not read that
Okay.
paper yet. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'll talk to her.
yeah. So Raima, I need you to write papers on psychology and understand from whatever's going on within our brains, because those are the two questions scientists are asking: what's going on in the black hole and the dark energy, and the other, what's
Okay.
going on inside the brain.
Okay, sure,
Okay.
I will do. Yeah.
And Allah Azza wa Jalla in the Quran says, look up in the heavens and see. And then you look into your own selves and see. See
Yeah.
this couple, universe and our brain, that the couple. We need to get to understand what's the similarity here. Okay. I'm excited. I did not expect this kind of brain cells from 4 kids in one room, mashallah. This is amazing. I mean, you got a little quiet on the quiet side, but it's all right. It's your first time. So why do we make a permanent class out of this? And what we do
Sure.
is we talk about because we need to create a vector out of this, right? We can't just meet to
Yeah.
talk to each other, right? We need to have a certain direction so we would know this group is heading towards a certain flag or a milestone, and then the next milestone. So we need to create a direction. Let me talk to Marine and see if we can get a certain episode thing going on. so that
Yeah.
people can understand, this is a playlist of things. So we're going to start psychology and physics in the
Okay.
light of Quran. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Amazing.
Because Ashad asked me a question about psychology, crime and punishment, and Rama is doing psychology. And Nabia is into physics, and Hassan is talking about writing a paper on physics. So psychology and physics.
Awesome.
Psychophysical, yeah.
Mhm.
We call it psychosocial, right? But psychophysical uh, tasks and projects. We'll design them, and you can publish them in as soon as we can, uh, finish writing any kind of concept, the theory and the
Inshallah.
application both. Okay. So anything else anyone wants to ask?
Yeah, I have a question. So, how can I relate psychology with Sira?
Psychology. Sira is psychology.
But it's
You
difficult.
open Sira. No, it's not. If you're looking for it, you look at any and every behavior of every individual and the group, you'll find out that this is and when you see the process of someone's behavior, you'll have to document that as as an example of the most balanced psychology. Okay.
But can you give me an example? For example, about the psychologist, even Pavlov. How can I relate it with Sira?
No, 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 no. I'm talking to do the opposite. You open the book of Sia
Okay.
and assume this is a book of psychology.
Okay.
And then you see how the Prophet ﷺ is behaving, making decisions, acting and reacting to events going on. And then you see that this is the most optimum psychological drive of a human being.
Okay.
Use it as a stencil. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll call it a day now because I don't want to keep it too long because you're not going to come next episode
No
if it becomes
problem.
too long, lengthy. But we are going to put some sort of task and responsibility within this. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Not going to give you
Last.
too hard of projects. Don't worry about it. Just Gigi, bullet.
Uh, Sir, as a psychology student, I'm really confused about the placebo effect because I think nowadays every religion contains 50 or 25% of placebo effect.
Give me an example.
For example, right now in Pakistan, there is an organization and they're selling the soaps and other kind of thing, and they're doing some kind of rituals and tasbih on it, and they're saying, okay, use it, and then you don't have to go to the doctor if you have any kind of skin problems or anything. Yeah, that's a kind of placebo effect that you're selling something and you're telling people that you don't have to go to the doctor for your problems and you have to just use these products because we have done some kind of rituals or Quran things on it, so it's beneficial for you.
Why do you have a problem with that?
Yeah, sir, it's a placebo effect that I'm giving you a soap and I'm saying just go use it and you will be.
I got
Uh,
it. I got it. Why do you have a think? Why do you have a problem with that? I need you to have a problem with that, but why do you have it? I want to know whether we're on the same page.
because I think it's a placebo effect because you're telling people to use it because yeah, it's just a placebo effect. I don't know how, but it's a great placebo effect. Just right now in Belgium, my teachers are Orthodox and Catholic, and yeah, they go to the church and they light the candle, and if they are suffering from some kind of sickness, then they are cured with it. And it's a placebo effect. That how can a candle can be a cause of your cure for your sickness.
Listen to what I'm about to say. Every cure that you require needs your brain to actually start functioning towards curing the sickness. Okay, even if you're taking medicine for it.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
No, no, I'm not done yet. Don't worry. You believe that, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Your immune system is going to work under your brain's uh, energy towards the cure. And this belief system actually does that. Now, I'm not saying it's going to cure. What I'm saying is, without it, you're not going to get cured, even if you take the medicine. You need the immune system and the brain. to work in coordination with the chemistry of the medicine, right? Now, I am not against medicine, obviously, because our Prophet ﷺ directly mandates that every disease has a medicine. Find it.
Yeah.
Okay. لِكُلِّ دَاءٍ دَوَاءٌ. Every disease will have a medicine. You need to find it. That means we need to use our brains, go into a lot deeper into how things work and how chemistry works in different, plants, herbs, or whatever you have on our plate to understand how to look at the human chemistry and find out how this system works and how to fix it if it's breaking down. Now, but at the same time, you need to understand if your brain and your mind is not working in coordination with whatever is going to happen through that medicine, no matter what medicine you're taking, your immune system is going to go down. It's not going to work, and that's the least it's going to do. Okay. Now that's why we are. I want you to place the belief that Allah is going to cure you before you start to think that medicine is the primary agent is not the medicine, because I have my own body. My body is myself as much as it can be. So my primary agent is the system on which this body actually regulates at its optimum self. So my belief system would be because Allah created this body. So you need to understand if my brain and my mind are not in sync, okay, and let's just assume the opposite, Rama. I give you a soap. If you're saying you give me a soap, and you're going to call it a medicine, and that's a placebo effect, right?
Yeah.
Rama? Yeah. Let's assume the opposite. I give you real medicine and call it a soap, right?
Okay.
You understand me? Now
Yeah.
you'll
Yeah.
find out the power of belief. You see
Mm.
how the placebo effect also is a very
Yeah.
good help. Yeah.
Hmm.
So you need to have both. Okay.
But
Break the placebo by giving it a real medicine and use the same belief that the placebo requires you to have, right?
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you need both. So you're right. This is a problem. We are superstitious people. And Islam is like all about breaking the superstition. Okay. You're right about this. But you need to understand you're half right. You need to be fully right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now it's clear.
Yeah. Okay, guys. I'll see you inshallah next week or something. I don't know what's the schedule, but we're gonna come up with some certain technique, and I'll come up with something. Otherwise, we'll discuss it. Don't worry. You need to understand
Sure.
hundreds of thousands, if not more, inshallah, kids of your age will be listening to this, and they'll be like, "Hey, you know what? I got a better idea of how to do this. I can do this. I like to ask that." So you gotta understand. You should be in a lot of pressure. Okay. So you gotta represent your folks who are your age to the best. Okay. Everybody clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I'm gonna cut that part of the video. Don't worry about it. Okay. I'll see you inshallah. Good talk.
Inshallah.
Good talk.
Thank you.
A little slow, but good talk. First time.
Yeah.
Don't worry. And I'll narrate that hadith as a solo session. It's a long hadith. The first thing, because as you can tell, if I had done this, it would have just been the hadith, and I don't want to break the flow of that. It's such a beautiful piece of literature. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll talk about
Thank you, sir.
likulli qawli haqiqatan. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum
Welcome.
assalam wa rahmatullah. It was really nice talking to you.
Yeah, same here, buddy. I loved it. Seriously.